Our latest Hear Me, See Me podcast. I'm your host, Melissa Bruner. Hear Me, See Me is a project of WIBW TV. We are working all year long to raise awareness of mental health and also let you know resources and help are available and out there for yourself or a friend or a family member. We're here to help. WIBW.com/HearMeSeeMe has that list of resources. And here on the podcast, it's been my honor to share some personal stories of people in our community, our friends and neighbors, to hopefully let you know you're not alone. And today we are catching up with Stacey Lyddon. We are so honored to have you here, Stacey, because you shared this isn't something you've really talked about in depth publicly before, your own background and story. But let's start with the now, because people around Topeka might know you from your artwork and your artistry. What kind of art do you do? How involved have you been with that?
Well, the last couple of years, I've really, my obsession has been epoxy resin, and that has been, it's been such a pleasure to really master that medium, which is liquid, and being able to make countertops and shower panels for a property that has turned into a vacation home. And so that's been real exciting. And then I've also, with epoxy resin, been able to use it as a fundraiser to raise some money for local mental health organization, NAMI, Kansas, and also teach some classes with it to kind of share the passion, get other people excited about epoxy.
And it is almost like a metaphor, kind of let things flow and see the beauty that can be created from it. You also have illustrations, and so I just want to show that there is a workbook on eating disorders that you did the illustrations for. I love the brightness and the colors that are in the illustrations. We also had a vision of transformation. That is something that you actually wrote and illustrated.
Yes.
What led to this book?
The vision of transformation? Yeah. Well, in 2013, because of my mental health, I live with mental health, emotional adversity. It might be a way to describe it. Others might recognize it as, complex PTSD or childhood trauma, PTSD, that or other PTSD diagnosis that would stem also from homelessness and drug addiction and events that happen during homelessness that a woman would experience, and that self-medicating with drugs and alcohol. So back in 2013, I went into a holistic treatment center for a brief period of time, and during some of my treatment there with one of the counselors, I had a really in-depth session, and it was like a relaxation meditation session, and I was so relaxed that I had this like vision or like this dream, and I had this dream of this woman having this experience where she's melting into like the earth, into the tree and the earth, and then she comes out of it and she's seeing like the earth and then coming back to the ground and just having this experience, and it was just really powerful. And then there's stairs involved and trying to remove trash from the stairs and sweeping, like this whole vision dream thing. And then I took it back to my counselor because she's like, "Oh, you need to write that." And so I wrote it down, and then when I moved to when I came here to Topeka in 2016, I didn't know anybody in the community, and so I kind of just started doing like art and doodling and painting and stuff just to kind of keep myself busy as I was getting my mental health services kind of kicked into gear. And so I took this, I actually have all the originals in here, but I took each part of the story. The story itself is, like 2 pages, but I took every couple of sentences and separated it out, and then I drew like doodle type.
The tree.
Yeah, of each part of that vision as it was happening.
The staircase, skipping forward, you see the hand. and the trash, the broom clearing the trash.
Yeah.
So this was a way for you to cope and tell the story of your own transformation. So let's go back to the beginning. I kind of started at the end, so let's go back to the beginning. And one thing we've been learning as people have shared their stories is how things from childhood can impact us our entire lives.
Yes.
So what was going on when you were a child and a teenager?
Well, I'm actually learning about that right now in trauma therapy, because I didn't realize what was really happening. I used to run away a lot when I was younger, and my parents lived in separate homes, and so it was like every other weekend I was with this parent, and then I was back at this parent's house, and both my parents live with their own emotional challenges, and so it wasn't. And then they both had their own marriages and their own their own lives, and so there really wasn't a lot of direction as far as I didn't learn a lot of life skills. Okay. And I didn't feel like I belonged, and I was kind of groomed into like a people pleaser. And so I kept the bar of expectation was set so high that I was never able to meet it. And because of that stress level of and anxiety that goes with that, if I wasn't able to meet an expectation, then I would do the opposite and rebel. And so, excuse me. So I ended up running away a lot, being really rebellious, and then the the family dynamic was an unwelcome place for me to be. And so I would do anything that I could to just not be there. And so I was homeless as a teenager by choice, and ended up in mental institutions and jail in Phoenix, Arizona, and Durango, in the juvie system over there, and then in the mental institution until my 18th birthday.
You'd mentioned earlier self-medicating. Was that starting during the teenage years? So as you didn't have direction, as you kind of were searching for your place to belong, what kind of behaviors were going along with that, and or interactions with maybe not the best people? There was drugs involved, but it was because it was given. See, when I was a teenager, I was running away from home and getting involved with people that were like, oh yeah, you can come stay. Oh yeah, your parents are bad. Like, come stay with us, you know. But they were adults, and so it was clearly a bad situation. And they had drugs, and they were giving me, and whoever I was with that was around my age, they were giving us drugs. It was bad influence. At what point did you get a diagnosis to learn maybe what was, and maybe you got a diagnosis but didn't learn at the time, what maybe was driving some of those behaviors and decisions?
I got my ADHD diagnosis officially when I was, I believe, 17, when as I wasn't allowed to go home, so I was put on like the Ritalin medicine, and so that was an official ADHD diagnosis when I was 17, and then I got out on my 18th birthday.
What happened to you from there?
I got they call in Maricopa County, they call it SMI. So I was SMI, so I was a transitional age youth. So basically, like you would like a foster, like in the system, like foster care type of situation, I guess, when I think about it now. I was transferred into the adult mental health system, and then they had been working on a place for me to go into independent living from when I was 18. So I was put in a group home with other women that were probably my age now, into like it was like a condo in like the East Valley in Phoenix. And right away I learned, when you're an adult, they don't try to hunt you down when you leave and don't come back. You can go hang out with whoever you want. There's really not all those like rules that, you know, kids and I don't want to say kids, I can really only speak for myself. You know, you can't tell me what to do kind of stuff. But I want to grow up and, you know, nobody tell me what to do. But yeah, once you turn 18, you know, but I started, honestly, I started hanging out at a restaurant that was connected to a hotel. They didn't have an age limit. And I started hanging out with the DJ there, and I ended up getting married. And I ended up getting pregnant. And I realized, I think the smartest thing, the most intelligent thing I probably ever did was realize that I had zero life skills. I was absolutely aware that I didn't have any parenting skills, and I was so afraid of having that same relationship that I had with my parents. I did not want that to happen with my child. And then after I gave birth to my daughter, I called an agency and I was like, how I'm living is not a safe place for her. Help me. And I interviewed some families and found a family that was wonderful. Interviewed them and was able to have them adopt her. And that was in 1997.
Did that change? I mean, first of all, that's a very brave decision to make, to realize something about yourself and to give your daughter that chance at the better life. That was a very brave decision of you to make. Did you continue to seek out help from there, or what was happening in your own life? Was there some abuse involved? What did you do?
I kind of, it was like self-abandonment. Because I didn't have family, and I was just hanging out with, it was just a really...
Not a good situation. Not a good situation.
Not a good situation.
What was the turning point for you? When you realized you'd helped your daughter, when did you realize you needed to help yourself?
Well, after that, I went deep, a deep spiral down into drugs. After that, bad relationships, deep spiral into drugs, homelessness, and then jail. And then I started getting into spirituality, and I started studying the Bible, and just getting a relationship with God. And I always was an artist. Mm-hmm. And in fact, even when I was a kid and in the juvie, like, that's how I would like make friends and connect with people. It was so weird because like making friends was like not in institutions or like at school. Like I'd never really connected really with people. Like I had a few friends, but I could tell that I was different. I mean, or they would tell me that I was different, or I was just different. But I was always a good artist. But when I was in institutions, like connecting with people, like they would tell me what their friends would look like, and so I would draw their friends. I don't know if you remember, I would draw, like they would tell me about their friends, and they would be like in street gangs, like on the outside, and so they would tell me what they would look like, and I would draw them, and then I would make them big bubbly shoes, and make them look like
a caricature.
Yeah. And but that's how we would connect. And then when I went to jail and ended up in state prison in Arizona.
And you were telling me you asked them to keep you in prison. You didn't want anyone to go easy on you because you had this self-awareness.
They kept releasing me. I kept getting arrested. I was homeless. They would arrest me, and then they would let me out. And I was just like, I still didn't have, I knew I was going to go use, or like at that point, like when it, like they would, like I remember, okay, so it's so stupid. Like I see this stuff happening here. Like this is why some of these things, and anybody that knows me, there's a lot of people that know me that I'm really passionate about these things. So I won't get into those rabbit holes. Okay.
But your point was you needed help, and if being arrested was a way that you were going to get help, you wanted them to keep you there. so that you
But
could
I
make
didn't
that
know.
turning?
I just
you didn't
knew,
realize it at the point.
I didn't know. I was just like, man, I wasn't ready to die, but I didn't want to get high. And I didn't know any other way to live, and I was just like, just keep me, please. Like I don't have any place to go. Just let me do my time. Just please let me do my time. I already had 2 felony charges. I stole my ex's truck and got busted with that. There was a bunch of weed in it. I got busted with that. So like there was, charges. Like, let me do my time. They just kept releasing. So probation violation. And but I would go out, get high on meth, or get like a whole bunch of meth, and then like try to it just wasn't.
It was a cycle. But the other thing that I'm hearing, and it's interesting that you didn't know it at the time, but you knew you didn't want to die.
Yeah.
And you knew you needed to do something to break the cycle.
Yeah.
Even if you weren't aware that you were expressing, someone please help me. You were making that cry for help. It was the whole hear me, see me thing. See me so that you can help me.
Yeah.
And you were asking for that. So how did that eventually lead you to Topeka? And then what did you find here? Maybe not at first.
Yeah. Well, I ended up all that mental health experience was turned into a gift that I got to give back for organization in Phoenix, and we got to participate in a lot of amazing things in the communities there, or I got to, and so, but mental health, like there has to be like some kind. I had to use the skills. Okay, I learned the Wellness Recovery Action Plan, which is like a daily maintenance deal. And then with the company that I worked for, I got to facilitate those classes. So I was able to just have these skills kind of like in my back pocket, like a muscle memory thing. And so when crisis happened after a while, a relationship I got out of, and then, I had my son, and needing to get him to a safe place. My mental health was going wild. I have family here in the Midwest. I came here to restart, get a fresh start, but I didn't know like anybody. And so I started with the, okay, so what was your question again? So I made it here.
Yeah,
so now I'm in Topeka.
Okay. Now you're in Topeka.
Now I'm in
Now
Topeka.
what? And at that point, so the point that you made it to Topeka, if I'm understanding correctly, you had been through something where you learned some skills. The problem was you came here without a support system.
Yes.
So you had the skills to realize, okay, something's happening. I might go backward if I don't make a change. You knew you had family here, but still you came here not really knowing anyone.
Well, I knew that there was a mental health system here. And so I transferred all my services, my SMI services, to Vallejo. And then I got in contact with Topeka Housing Authority, and so I was able to go through. I got Topeka Housing Authority, so I got my housing under control with public housing, and then got on the Section 8 wait list, and then so that worked out. And then I was able in the beginning to start the expressive therapies with Vallejo, which got me into art. And
this is where we come back full circle to the whole art story.
Yeah. And then what else? Oh, my job coach that I got over at Workforce, because I was also applying for Social Security disability. She was, because she was helping me with like resume, like how can I learn how to like accomplish my goals and stuff. I wish I could remember her name. She's probably out there somewhere. But Workforce was really cool because she was like, I was like, well, I want to start a business, and she's like, well, I don't think we could do that. You gotta like look for a job and you gotta get a job. Mm-hmm. Well, I eventually got a job. I was working at Dollar Tree and part-time on California, and that was like cool to have that as like my first job. But like over on the side, I was like, man, like that's when I was doing this,
telling the transformation story as we go
Well,
back to the
that's where I started
story.
printing. That's where I started making connections to people in the community.
Yeah.
Like, that's where I learned where, like, I was like already networking and I didn't even realize it.
Right.
My job coach told me who to connect with over in Noto because I didn't even realize about an art community. I'd never done like an art tour of like an art community before. I didn't know that there was like these things existed until I came here.
Right. Noto is the North Topeka Arts and Entertainment District.
Yeah, and so I met. I was told, hey, go meet Merle over at in Noto, and he'll give you a tour. So I was like, I started connecting with people on social media, and I got a tour. It was like November's first Friday in 2017 or 2016, and I got the tour. But I call it the third floor tour. So he took me around to like but I got to meet the artists and the studio owners, and then I'm in like next thing I know, like I'm like up in the third floor, like looking down at the whole place, and you see the lights, and I got pictures of this, and I still don't know nobody, and I'm all shy, I don't talk to nobody, and it was just really cool, and then after that I started making all these, spending the little money, like I was on cash assistance, I had food stamps at first. And I'm working out with my the job coach, like business plan, like cost of things, like printing, and then what am I going to sell them for? I was able to get in. I was a feature artist at Creations of Hope Gallery one time, and that was really amazing and empowering. It just kind of led to just really feeling like art is like a superpower to like healing. And then as you see like the community evolving into different things, like I would love to, like currently I would love to be able to do expressive therapies, but organizational things change. And so, but I realize that I have skills in my back pocket that I can do now. You know what I mean?
How did art save you? Because how low did you get throughout the course of this, probably 2-decade journey you went through?
Well, I don't know how well. I'm still breathing. So if I fight suicidal ideation on a daily basis. Some days I couldn't say that it was daily, but I have to, like, I got off the phone with my parents' support. So like my son has his mental health challenges that he is working through, and as a parent that has mental health challenges, trying to parent a child that is struggling with his own mental health challenges, that I have to be honest, that's a pretty low.
It's tough.
That is tough. And I had my parent, God, I was not planning on talking about this. On my way over here, I had my parent support from Family Service and Guidance, and they're calling me. And she's like, I'm on my way to the news studio. I'm going to talk to Melissa Bruner. She's like, whoa, that's cool, and, she was like real supportive. She's like, are you nervous? And I'm like, heck yeah, I'm nervous. And she's like, well, you've done that kind of stuff before, haven't you? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that's scary. And I'm like, yeah, I have to remind myself.
You got it written down there.
Yeah, because I wanted to share this with you because I saw a video on social media that said, it was a video, it was somebody talking, but it wasn't written down anywhere, maybe the letters or whatever, but it said, faking bravery when terrified is bravery. And so during homelessness, this reason why I think this is important is because when I'm feeling terrified, it's because my brain has been wired to feel terrified. Although the circumstances aren't warranted for terror. But that's PTSD. Mm-hmm. I've been taken hostage and at gunpoint and all these. I've had these terrifying events happen in my life. That those same emotions come up when I'm dealing with situations when I'm very afraid of what is happening with, like, what's happening with my son, or I'm so afraid of the conflict that's happening because it reminds me of the terror of childhood conflict. And so I avoid it, you know. So that the lowest I really can't say what's the lowest point, because I have survived every moment that I interpreted as the lowest point.
You are a survivor. And we should let everybody know who might be listening that really the number one resource to keep in mind is 988. So if you're listening and this is bringing up some feelings and you are feeling that you need to help, or maybe you see this in a loved one and they need help and need to reach out, 988 is the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Please do make sure that that number is there and you remember it, 3 digits that could save your life. And you do work with that now, Stacey, because you share your story, maybe not as in depth as you are right now, but you work with NAMI.
Yes.
You've wanted to use this experience to help others. You use the art. And to kind of go back onto the art, what is it through art that you express and that you help encourage other people to express that maybe you can't put into words, or maybe you're by yourself and you need a way to get it out? What does art allow you to do?
Well, it just always creates like a connection between me and somebody else that I probably wouldn't normally have a connection with. You know, I have a lot of art in the NAMI lobby, and but it only I guess it only makes a connection if I'm there.
It makes a connection to anyone who sees it. I want you to know that, because I'm looking at this, and even if you weren't here, I would say I see this person rising, and that's a connection to me to know I can rise. And you look at it, and it's your personal story. But I think anybody looks at it and they can see themselves, and I think we all can see themselves. And I appreciate you sharing this story so much, because just from the basic standpoint, number one thing that I'm learning from you is that sometimes people like to judge some of the public programs that are there, right? I mean, if you've never had to use them, if you've never had the unfortunate circumstance to have to use the assistance of public housing to be able to get yourself on your feet like you are now, you've never had to turn to a homeless shelter to be able to get to where you are now. If you've never had to reach out to public assistance in order to get to where you are now, you maybe don't understand it. But when I hear your story, what I'm hearing is, if we don't have these programs, how do we expect people to get to the point where they are now? We have people who are working every day to dig themselves out, and thanks to this little helping hand, it's not a hand out, it's a hand up.
Yeah, it's like a stepping stone, and I know that NAMI has always been that. They've always been that place where I've felt like welcomed, and a place to be able to give back from a point of, I've been able to give, God, I'm so embarrassed, I'm crying. I can give back from my point of pain, you know, and I knew, because if I think back, so what I learned in the Wellness Recovery Action Plan, which I wish was available here, I did crowdfunding about a year and a half ago, so I could get trained as a facilitator, and I did that training online, because anyway, so if there's ever an opportunity to do that here, I could do that, but it's like self-help. Like, I've been self-helping myself with all these other community resources, and
now you have connection.
NAMI gives me a platform to use bits and pieces of my story, which is me being able to give back as from my point of pain, which offers. I mean, maybe it's selfish, like, I don't know, but we need to have that medicine to be able to give back, to be able to tell our story, and to know that Well, I know because people tag my name on social media posts. They're like, they're having this challenge. Where are these resources? And then they tag my name, and then I'll say, like, go to NAMI. Like, they got like, you could talk to them, like anybody in the office. You know, that's why I always try to support them every year for like their walks and stuff, and people do reach out, and I just know that parents need support. Like, no matter what we're going through, no matter what it looks like on social media on the outside, like, I love posting the fun stuff. Like, I love having a good time, and I love posting beautiful art and posting what beautiful things other people are doing, and all the fun things that people supporting, and all the positive things about Topeka, because this is my family now. And but you know, there is real mental health stuff that is going on behind the scenes, and if I'm not reaching out back, you know, or if I'm not, you know, just whenever I'm using the hashtag, okay, sorry.
No, go ahead.
If I'm using hashtag, check on your happy friends, or check on your busy friends, or check on your supportive friends, you know, do that. Your supporters need support too. Mm-hmm. And don't just have one support. Have lots of supports, because supports, I could wear some people out. You know, I could wear them out. You know, and faking bravery when terrified is bravery. I want people to know that. Mm-hmm. We've gone through. With NAMI, I got to go into the prison and talk to the ladies and teach their classes there. That was so amazing, and I'd stopped doing that so I can work on my art business.
You got another one? Oh, yeah. I love it.
all skills are transferable.
Yes.
Which means,
I'll hold it up.
Yeah, all skills are transferable. Meaning, like, all the stuff that I learned, like, during survival, like the hustle. You know, I'm not talking about like trying to sell drugs or like anything like that.
The hustle to pull yourself up.
The hustle to pull yourself up. Yeah, the grind, the
that works in your business.
The purpose, Can
we go into the next one?
Yeah. There is life after diagnosis.
I love the notes that you wrote. I just have to say.
There is life after diagnosis, you know, and I don't like to use the word stigma. I don't want to use that word, because that is implying that somebody is doing something wrong.
We just don't understand.
Yeah. We don't understand, and it's okay to not understand. And I am not offended by how somebody talks about it. You know, mm-hmm. I am like some of those labels, but I was diagnosed a long time ago, and depending on how I'm presenting, I can get diagnosed with different new things. You know what I'm saying? But okay. RAP, Wellness Recovery Action Plan. Our story is a gift. Like, we may not realize it in the moments or in the big mix of things, but all that junk, everything that we're going through, no matter what it is, it's wild right now, and it feels uncomfortable right now. But what you're going through right now is a gift that you will be able to give back to somebody else. Or just share what you're going through, because that's somebody else is going through that.
I love how the word hope is on that page too. Got another one?
Oh yeah, I know. Isn't that wild?
Yes.
Healing begins at home. Parent support. I wasn't going to talk about this, but parents need support. Like, I know Family Service and Guidance Center is about the kids, and the kids come first, because that's what they're doing. I want the parent support. Got one. Darlene was just calling me today.
Right? Well, parents need support. I think that's a very important message.
Parents need support, but I mean, making sure, like, because change is going to happen at home, at the home level, you know, and finding out where is that confidential support for the parents for their troubles, because parents are facing the consequences of the child's choices, and that there's a lot of like fear around. Well, parents need support, you know. Mm-hmm.
They do.
We need more parents, like support groups that are not at the facility where the kids are getting their support. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, because we want everyone to feel included and supported, and to be able to thrive in a safe place.
Yeah.
Exactly. Stacey, your story is so very important, and I appreciate you sharing it, because it is important. It is important to know that sometimes there are things that cause things that lead to things.
Oh, yeah.
But no matter what those things are, you can overcome by finding the support, and that's what you did. And by sharing your story, you also share that hope. And I want you to know that you are brave, you are a survivor, and we appreciate you imparting that hope. But not in an unrealistic way, to know that there's not just one day that the switch flips and everything is magically better. You're a testament that it takes work, and that you're doing that work every single day, and why we all need to check on each other and make those connections, so we hear each other, so we see each other. And I appreciate you sharing all of that with us. So much to know. And NAMI is available. That's why Stacey is involved with NAMI. That's just one of the resources that we have on WIBW.com/hearmeseme. A whole long list, no matter what the situation might be. And you're right, NAMI is a good place to start. Their folks tell us all the time, just call us and we can help you make those connections that are available in our community. So many things that people don't even know exist.
And if people have resources, or if they're connected to resources, call and put your resources on their list too, because it's national. Because a lot of people come here to relocate. You know, I came here to relocate, and I already knew about NAMI in my community. You know what I mean? So, like, get on the list. Get your stuff on the list. It costs nothing to get on the list, to share your stuff. You know, and they're connected with the NAMI and the national level. Help put together the 988, so it'll share all that stuff. Yeah.
And we appreciate you, Stacey. We're glad you're here, and we appreciate everyone who listened in. Remember, Hear Me, See Me, a project of WIBW. We hear you, we see you, and we're there to help you out.